It's time for dinner, Jimmy!
Okay, Mom. I'll be out there shortly. Thanks again for giving me the Xbox. I really like this game. Gosh, this game is so good. I gotta tell everyone at school.
Beautiful song, isn't it? I've heard her sing 100 times, and each time it still moves me. It's the spirit of an elven woman.
Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about a new upcoming game called Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. If you're too young to have played the Dark Alliances of the past, then you probably wouldn't understand the intro to this video. You missed out on a great childhood. So yeah, a new Dark Alliance game and a new Baldur's Gate game reappearing after 15 to 20 years of absence in the gaming world. Coincidence? I don't know. However, this Dark Alliance does seem to be different from the Dark Alliances in the past, and we're going to talk about that. In this video, we're going to go over what this game is all about, will there be co-op, what consoles it's coming out on, etc. And then the second half of the video is going to be more of a special lore type section that will give you more information on the actual playable characters in the game. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please subscribe. There will be more Dark Alliance content on the way. Links to my social media will be below. Let's get right into it. Dark Alliance 1 and 2 were released in 2001 and 2004. These are classic games to a lot of people, including myself. Now, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which is a completely different game series despite some lore similarities, was released in 1998 and 2000, and those games are absolute gems. But if you were like me at the time, you might have been a little too young to get into the complexity behind them. Dark Alliance 1 and 2, however, were much easier to understand, and they were more hack and slashy, which is easier for people to initially get into, especially for more casual gamers. Now, I will say that I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be the gem of a decade, and this upcoming Dark Alliance game is likely going to be more of a quick, fun game to kill some time with friends. But I am excited for both. If you want to learn more about Baldur's Gate 3, I've done 30 or so videos on this channel over the past couple months, so check those out. So Dark Alliance 3, which it's actually not called that, it's called Dark Alliance Dungeons & Dragons, is definitely not the same as the past classic ones, and I think the differences potentially will disappoint some people. However, I do think there's some positives to this as well. Before we talk about the actual gameplay, let me quickly discuss the things you might want to know before you spend more time researching into this game. The upcoming Dark Alliance will be a third-person action RPG that's coming out in fall 2020 for consoles and PC. I think that's great. I love when everyone is included. It will be 4-player couch or online co-op. This is exciting news, for there doesn't seem to be too many couch co-op third-person action RPGs on the market. The 4 confirmed playable characters will be the Companions of the Hall, Drizzt, Do'Urden, Brunner, Battlehammer, Wulfgar, and Katty Bree, which we will talk about all of them in the second half of the video. If you're familiar with the Legend of Drizzt book series, then you will know all of these characters, and they are all pretty epic. This game will also take place in Icewind Dale, which is an Arctic tundra located in northern Faerun, which is on the same continent as the city of Baldur's Gate. Dark Alliance will be a game heavily focused on combat, which is seemingly more of a hack and slash type of style. The old Dark Alliance games did have the hack and slash type of feeling as well, but with the isometric view. This brings us to the third-person camera angle that you will be playing this Dark Alliance from, which is one of the huge differences from the games of the past. I was really hoping for a legit Dark Alliance 3, but with a modern 2020 touch, but it seems more so that we'll be getting a new experience. But since I'm so hyped for Baldur's Gate 3, I'm actually starting to come around to the idea for this Dark Alliance game being different from the ones in the past, because now in 2020 or 2021, we'll be getting 2 D&D related games, one with third-person real-time crazy combat, and the other, which is Baldur's Gate 3, will be turn-based and more isometric focused. 2 very different experiences to look forward to. A true third-person real-time combat game can be a lot of fun, especially when you're with friends. And since we're going to be playing as the Companions of the Hall, it sounds exciting. Like I said before, I'm expecting this Dark Alliance to be more of a casual, friendly, drink some beers with friends and hack away at enemies type of game. Maybe a good one for you and your significant other to play on a Friday night, while Baldur's Gate 3 will be more in-depth, complex, and more of a long-term game that I'm probably going to sink far too many hours into. So in Dark Alliance, you'll be playing as one of the 4 Companions of the Hall, and I'm assuming that the computer will be taking control of the characters that you're not playing, unless you're playing with friends, and in that case, each of you will choose one of the 4 playable characters. Each different playable character will have their own set of abilities, and from what we're told, there will be dozens of skills to choose from. Not to mention, each of the 4 characters from the books all have very different fighting styles and use different weapons. You'll be able to customize these characters to a certain extent to use abilities and fighting styles within that specific character's lore, which is taken from the D&D books. I say to a certain extent, for I doubt you'll be able to play the Drow Elf Drizzt Do'Urden and use a battle hammer like the character Wulfgar does, but I'm thinking there will be a variety of different dual scimitar attacks that you can activate when playing as Drizzt, as well as a ton of different agility related maneuvers that characters like Wulfgar and Brunner would not have. And if you're playing as Katty Bree, her main weapon is the bow, so you'll likely have a ton of different ranged attacks to choose from. There will be a combo system in this game that's called Emergent Combo, and the type of combos you perform will depend on the type of weapons you're using and the skills that you have equipped. Toot Games, the developers, said there will be a deep character progression system, so that's nice to hear. The game is being published by Wizards of the Coast, which basically controls the rights for games to use D&D material, so it's safe to assume that this Dark Alliance game will stay true to the D&D lore, whether it be the story and lore of the actual characters we're playing, or the setting of the game, or the monsters we're fighting. In the cinematic trailer, we did see a bunch of D&D monsters: orcs, bugbears, goblins, yetis, giants, and dragons. The only actual gameplay that we have seen is the 3-second clip at the end, and it doesn't tell us much, but it does look good. Take a look. What's really interesting to think about is wondering if we'll end up seeing some of the other classic characters, such as the Halfling Regis or Artemis and Trary. Fans of the Legend of Drizzt series, myself included, could have a lot to look forward to. Now that you know in a general sense of what to expect in Dark Alliance, let's do a quick lore session and talk about each of the 4 characters, which all have a strong history. If you're interested in learning more about these characters, especially the main character Drizzt Do'Urden, then I really suggest reading the Legend of Drizzt book series. I think there's over 25 to 30 of them books out now. I've read most of them, and they're really great reads. If you don't want any spoilers at all, then just stop the video right now, but I'm not going to give away anything too crazy, just a quick summary of who each character is. Drizzt is a Mal Drow Elf Ranger who does not fit into the stereotypes of his race. Drizzt had forsaken both the evil ways of his people as well as their home, the city of Menzoberranzan in the Underdark. Acclimating to the surface world was perhaps one of his greatest challenges, despite all the foes that he has faced. A Drow elf is not welcomed in most places, and rightfully so, but Drizzt would go on to become a legendary hero of the North. He stands about 5'4", and like other Drow has black skin and stark white hair. Drizzt is thoughtful and sensitive, and holds himself to the highest ideals. This is very rare for a Drow elf. He carries 2 scimitars and also carries a figurine of wondrous power that can summon a Black Panther companion named Guinevere. Apart from being extremely skilled with dual scimitars, as well as being unbelievably agile, Drizzt could also summon globes of darkness, as well as summon fairy fire, which can outline targets even if they're invisible. Katty Bree is a beautiful female human with auburn hair and blue eyes. She was a friend and later wife to Drizzt Do'Urden. Katty Bree's mother died while giving birth to her, and her father was killed in a goblin attack. Brunner the dwarf and his clan came to the rescue though, and they found young Katty Bree. Brunner decided to adopt this young human as his own. Katty Bree would become a kind, tolerant, and pragmatic woman who would end up serving as the emotional compass to her adventuring companions, Wulfgar, Drizzt, and Brunner, helping to guide them into wise actions. Katty Bree is armed with the magical bow Tal'Maril, also known as the Heartseeker, which also came with a quiver of silver arrows which would never run out. She also might be armed with the sentient magical sword called Kazad-Hay, or Kaza, I don't know how to say that, which could cut through flesh, bone, armor, and even rock. Wulfgar is a barbarian hero of Icewind Dale, which is where the Dark Alliance game will take place in. He's nearly 7 foot tall with a broad and muscular chest, weighing him in around 350 pounds. He possesses incredible strength, and he's been known to crush a man's head with his bare hands. When Wulfgar was just a boy, he participated in a battle between his tribe and a loose confederation of frontier villages known as 10 Towns. He would end up getting knocked out by Brunner from a blow to the head. Instead of killing Wulfgar, Brunner would sentence him to 5 years and a day of service to himself. Wulfgar would end up becoming one of the adventuring companions to Drizzt, Katty Bree, and Brunner. Wulfgar carried with him a huge warhammer crafted by Brunner himself called Aegis Fang. This was no ordinary warhammer though, for it would magically return to Wulfgar's hands upon his telepathic command, making this warhammer not only a deadly melee weapon, but also a deadly ranged weapon. Brunner Battlehammer was the 8th, 10th, and 13th king of Mithril Hall. He was the dwarven adopted father of Katty Bree and essentially Wulfgar as well. Brunner had wild red hair and a beard, and he stood about 4.5 feet tall. He was a gruff and stubborn dwarf, but he would oftentimes show a tender side for his daughter, Katty Bree, and sometimes Wulfgar as well. He was a strong leader and a very strong fighter. When he was just a boy, his people were run out of the dwarven kingdom of Mithril Hall by a dragon named Shimmergloom. His clan would take residence in Icewind Dale, where he would raise Katty Bree and Wulfgar and eventually meet Drizzt. He would go on to reclaim Mithril Hall, but there's so much more that he would still do after, but I don't want to spoil too much. Brunner carries with him a shield with a mug on it symbolizing clan Battlehammer, and he also has a battle axe. So that's about all we know about Dark Alliance right now. There is a lot of history behind those characters, and I do recommend those books. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's a huge help to my channel. I do all sorts of videos on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game tutorials to game reviews to product reviews, etc. I would love to see some of you guys on a future video. More Dark Alliance content on the way as we get new information. Until next time.